The moment you sign a marriage license, the state of California classifies your union as a binding financial merger. Getting married without an individual contract automatically binds you to the state's default community property laws. Under this framework, almost everything you earn, acquire, or borrow during the marriage is owned equally by both spouses. This default system removes your individual control. The state dictates exactly how your shared assets and debts will be divided if the marriage ends in divorce or death. You can override these default rules. Couples have the legal right to draft a private, customized marital agreement that reflects their specific financial circumstances instead of the state's. If you skip a private agreement, you are opting into the government's version of your financial rules. Both prenuptial and postnuptial agreements perform the exact same mechanical function. They replace state property laws with your own private terms, the exact moment the ink hits the paper. This timeline shows the two paths available. You either sign a prenup before the wedding day, or you sign a postnup after the marriage is official. The wedding day triggers a concept called fiduciary duty. This is a strict legal obligation requiring spouses to act in each other's best financial interests at all times. The date on your contract alters the legal standard a judge uses to evaluate the document. The presence of a fiduciary duty creates a significantly higher barrier for a contract to survive a court challenge. A prenuptial agreement is a contract negotiated and signed entirely before the legal marriage takes place. This diagram illustrates the specific legal advantage of a prenup. Because the two parties are not yet married, fiduciary duties do not apply. Both people can prioritize their own individual interests during the negotiation, which makes the resulting contract highly enforceable. This legal distance makes a prenup effective for protecting specific assets. If you enter a marriage with premarital real estate, an established business, or a pending inheritance, a prenup shields those assets as separate property. It is a standard tool for second marriages. A prenup allows parents to ring-fence their premarital wealth and protect the financial interests of children from prior relationships. Securing this protection requires a difficult emotional trade-off. Negotiating strict financial boundaries during wedding planning often causes friction and requires high levels of transparency. There is also a specific legal vulnerability. If you rush the timeline right before the wedding, or if one partner lacks independent legal counsel, a judge may view the agreement as coercive and void the entire document. A prenup offers the strongest legal armor available, but it requires addressing complex financial boundaries before you walk down the aisle. A postnuptial agreement is a financial contract drafted and signed after the marriage is legally binding. Because the couple is legally married, the rules of fiduciary duty are active. Consequently, courts view postnups with much higher levels of suspicion than prenups. This scale shows how a judge evaluates a postnup. They will scrutinize the terms for any sign of unfair imbalance or spousal pressure, as the law assumes spouses must protect each other's interests. Couples typically pursue a postnup after major mid-marriage shifts. This includes receiving an inheritance, starting a new business, or leaving work to raise children. It also serves as a tool during periods of relationship strain. When financial disagreements threaten the marriage, a postnup provides a legal framework to clarify expectations and restore financial boundaries. Introducing a legal contract mid-marriage carries emotional weight. Presenting a postnup can be perceived as reactionary, or it might signal a shift in trust. A postnup provides a second chance to adapt to new financial realities, but to survive a judge's scrutiny, it must meet an extremely high standard of absolute fairness. You cannot simply choose between these documents based on convenience. Your current life stage dictates the tool you must use. This flowchart asks the core diagnostic question: are you legally married right now? If you're engaged with premarital assets, debt, or kids, you must secure a prenup. If you're already married and navigating a windfall, new business, or financial strain, a postnup is your only option. Your current relationship status is the primary metric that determines how you build your financial shield. A common failure point in this process is attempting to bypass legal fees by downloading a generic online template. Marital laws are highly state-specific. California has strict mandates for how these contracts must be drafted and reviewed. A generic form will not account for these local requirements. When a document is challenged in a courtroom, a generic template often lacks the specific legal language required to stay in effect. Whether you are choosing a prenup or a postnup, securing specialized, independent legal counsel for both parties is necessary for the contract to hold up. A marital agreement is a structural pillar of your financial future. It must be built to local legal code to protect you when your finances are scrutinized.